The last principle that I'll talk about is stories. Stories are powerful and can change your life and your community. It was Aristotle who first pointed out that stories should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. First, I'll talk about the beginning. This is where you introduce yourself, you capture your audience's attention or connect with them, and you let them know what your story is all about. For example, our skydiving friend might start his story like this. Hi, my name is John. The other day I decided to go skydiving. Once the plane was in the air, I rolled out of the door and into the wide blue sky. All of a sudden I realized, darn, I don't know how to land this thing. So, in the beginning of this story, we know that John's core problem is how to land without killing himself. The audience is automatically curious and interested to see what he's going to do. He has their attention. The middle of the story is where you provide the vivid details and concrete examples. This is where you talk about how you solved your problem or how you were affected by something, a policy, an illness, or someone's actions. This is also where you talk about the emotional elements or answer the question or solve the mystery you gave to the audience. For example, this is where John, the skydiver, would describe his trouble with the parachute, his fear of landing without the parachute, and his relief at landing safely. Lastly, we have the end of the story. This is where you give your audience the final answers. It is important not to ramble at the end. It is a good thing to leave them wanting to know more, wanting to ask you questions. This is also where you let the audience know what you want them to do, if anything. Lastly, never forget to thank your audience. Before you watch the final videos, I just want to offer some final tips. First, rehearse your story beforehand, but try to be spontaneous. If possible, don't read it directly off the page. To rehearse, you can stand in front of a mirror and watch yourself, or you can practice with a trusted friend. Even though you won't read it directly from the page, know the sequence of events or the shape of your story and stick to it. Know what to emphasize, and remember to shape your story based on your audience and their needs. The same story may be told differently to different audiences. Some other tips. Talk to a single individual. I like to pick one person in the audience who is smiling or looks friendly, and I focus on that person. Also, don't make excuses or apologize for your story. And as I said before, be focused and clear. Keep it simple and short, the KISS principle. Present your story as valuable in and of itself. If you don't treat it as important, no one else will either. Just be yourself. As you tell your story, use gestures and be lively. You can use visual aids as long as they don't distract from your story. And keep your time in mind. Don't talk too fast. Be comfortable in your own style, and most importantly, connect with your audience. The last two tips are tell the truth as you see it, and be aware of your own emotions. I just wanted to show this picture of a group of advocates who went to the Missouri State Legislature to tell their stories. They talked about the R word and the negative effect it had on their lives. As a result of their efforts, the R word was removed from all departmental names and policies in Missouri. Now I invite you to listen to two final stories that are really well told and that use many of the success principles that we just discussed. After you listen to them, fill out the final worksheet, and then you should be ready to tell a powerful story. I can't wait to hear it. For more information, please feel free to contact me, George Gatto, at gottog@umkc.edu, or visit these online sites from the National Gateway to Self-Determination, our website, our Facebook site, or our YouTube site, where you can find more videos from self-advocates. Put these tips to use, and you'll tell some wonderful stories. Thank you.
My name is Varian Salters, and I'm from Willimantic, Connecticut. And during high school, I worked at a cafeteria cleaning tables and sweeping the floors. And I knew I could do better and stuff. I wanted a better job. So a little while after high school, I started a job working at Sodexo, which was a food company, as a beverage runner, filling food in the orange juice and milk and stuff like that, and refilling the soda. And I worked there for a few years, around 3 years. And I still wanted to look for a better job, and I also relocated to a different town, to Norwich, Connecticut. And I got a job at Bob's Furniture, changing light bulbs and vacuuming and building furniture. But that still wasn't my dream job. I had a dream job to have my own desk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So my dream job came about one day when I walked into the DDS office in Connecticut, or what was then DMR, Department of Developmental Services. And I saw a job opening for Self-Advocate Coordinator, and I applied for it. And it took a long time to hear about it, but eventually I heard about it, and I got the job, and I was happy.
My name is Tanya Winters, and I am from Austin, Texas. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and after college, I had a couple of friends of mine who moved to Austin, Texas, and a friend and I went down to visit these two friends we had, and I just absolutely fell in love with Austin. Like, as we're leaving on the plane to go back home, like, I'm like freaking out. I'm like sick to my stomach, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I'd always wanted to move somewhere kind of on my own, and I really wanted to move somewhere warmer because the cold climate in Chicago was really starting to affect. I also walk on crutches, and so the cold climate was really starting to affect my physical body, and it was really hurting. So I remember having breakfast with my dad, because I had already lived on my own, since I was like 18. So I remember having breakfast with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I think I want to move to Texas. And he was like, what? It's like, you're crazy, you're nuts. Like, how are you going to do it? Like, I don't know about this. And I said, Dad, you always taught me to go for what I believe in, and this is something I really want, and I think I can do it. And he was like, okay, I'm scared for you, but I support you. And so what I did is I had my friend who lived in Austin send me the classifieds every week. And I did an internet search because I knew the first thing for me was to have a job, because most people with disabilities, can't just go out and work retail and, sleep on couches. It just doesn't really work for us. So I knew I needed to have a job, and I just graduated with a bachelor's in social work. So I did an internet search and searched a lot of the state agencies, and was able to get an interview after about 3 months. And to be quite honest, they passed me up. The first time they interviewed me, they passed me up, and they called me like a month later, and they were like, well, we'd love to have you work with us if you want to, and so before I knew it, I had a job. And so, the next step was to move, and I had to go through a lot with my family, aunts, uncles, everybody who, it seems like every time you make a big change in your life, like all the distant family comes out of the woodwork and goes, oh my God, you're insane. So my aunt said, well, I'll drive you down there. And if you don't have a good experience, don't worry about it. We can pick you right back up. In fact, the day that we were leaving, she's like, if this doesn't work out, I'd be happy to pick you up in like a week. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen that way. And it's been 10 years. Bye.